Hi, my name is Louise Lindegaard, and today I will be talking about language and gender and how this impacts the way we teach. I would like to start off by addressing the prevalence of this issue and the reason studying language and gender is important. Language has evolved over thousands of years, and we often repeat phrases and terms that surround us. This slide shows an example of the influence of gender stereotypes in the generation of language itself. Now I will show you some examples of common phrases that are often repeated without thinking about the underlying message. Language has been influenced by the social expectations and prejudice that exist in our everyday lives, and these same prejudices are then influenced by our language. These slides show examples of how sexism in society has influenced the phrases we use and the adjectives we choose. This subconscious cycle of influence has led to a complex relationship between language and gender. This feedback cycle has led to a gender association with even basic adjectives. For example, men are described as assertive and strong, while women are described as bossy and annoying. As tutors, we need to be aware of this relationship and both avoid perpetuating stereotypes and use our knowledge to better help our tutees. I tutor in the sciences, specifically chemistry and math. There has been, and still is, a disproportionate amount of women publishing papers and contributing to the advancement of chemistry, and I believe this has led to the masculinization of the subject and of science in general. Chemistry, math, physics, they are often referred to as hard sciences. They are not subject to interpretation, and they are so-called set in stone. This masculine view can be intimidating to anyone, especially those who are not encouraged to fight their way to the top. As a tutor, I try my hardest to prevent being too intense. I do not want to perpetuate the language in the so-called hard sciences that you are either right or wrong, that you must do everything in a certain way, and that you must be wicked intelligent to succeed. Science is intimidating, the language of science is intimidating, and the masculinity of science has perpetuated this intimidating nature. I hope to help my students see how beautiful and fascinating science can be. Chemistry and math do not have to live up to their masculine facade because they are not as scary as the men that developed them want to seem. I want my students to realize how many mistakes Einstein made and how long it took all famous scientists to become famous scientists. Learning requires work. We are all capable of doing math and we are capable of learning the material. The big bad facade of science was created through time as a perpetuation of masculine language and complicated papers that intimidate people out of the subject. I hope to encourage my students to see how subjective science really is. Chemistry is not set in stone, nor is the material we learn about it. Science requires creativity. In fact, the hardest part of science is being creative enough to approach problems in new ways and discover new things. I think that the prevalence of masculine language and gender-specific terminology has hurt science as a subject. So many people are capable and creative enough to make real progress in scientific fields, but are scared off by the intense environment and difficult nature. Learning in the so-called soft sciences takes just as much time and dedication as in the so-called hard ones. However, people recognize the encouragement and collaboration found in English and history, though they can be just as competitive. It is because of the way hard science has been portrayed and the language they use that makes people think they are not smart enough or good enough. Hard science requires just as much, if not more, creativity and collaboration and brainstorming, and all feminine traits currently associated with philosophers and historians may be easily applied to physicists and mathematicians. Science is fascinating and can be beautifully simple if you only get past the intimidating appearance. I hope to inspire my students to love science and its feminine side as much as I do.